Well, I'm back, and as promised, I do have the measurements. However, let's go over some of the enhancements that I made to the arcade cabinet while I was away. Alright, so let's get to it. I actually switched out my marquee. I don't know if you recall or if I presented it before, but the other one, had a little streak of light coming through it. So I had to recut the marquee, and then I just put some stars around it just to fancy it up. My bezel came out nice. I got my bezel in there. Don't know how well you can see that, but the bezel came out nice, and it was really cheap. Like I said, the paper itself was only like $1.97 or something like that. Control panel finished. I put a couple of decals on here just to give it that authentic arcade look and feel. And my plexiglass. I had to put in a brand new piece of plexiglass because I used some spray that was in a bottle underneath the sink to try to clean it off, and lo and behold, it was an oven cleaner. So it kind of filmed it. Other than that, I'm pretty pleased with the project itself. The cabinet, as you can see, is pretty much spot on with the measurements of the other cabinet, with the exception of a few minor details. One of the details being that the corner here, I decided to angle mine more so than the curve look. As the original cabinet, let's see if you can see this. The original cabinet has more of a curve. So, in retrospect, like I said, I did more of the angle. I wanted it to look more lower profile, as well as the back. I raised the back up about 1 inch, 2 inches, but I kept the top the same. So it did give it that lower profile look. And the decals came out awesome. Also at the top, around my marquee, you can see I have the metal bar here. And all this is, it's actually a really inexpensive bar. It's like a U shape. And my plexiglass fits right in there perfectly. The top piece, of course, is glued on. However, the bottom piece is being held together by these brackets here. So if I wanted to change out my marquee, all I have to do is unscrew the screw that's holding the brackets in place, and then just drop this metal piece off. All right, let's get to the measurements. All right, I'm gonna try this here. Now, I don't know how well this is gonna come out, but I do have them on my computer if in fact we don't get a clear focus here. And let me zoom it in just a little bit. And let's get a little bit more light. I see that my shadow is hitting there. I think that made it worse. But let's go ahead and give it a try. Now the pieces that I just showed you, of course, are the front top slope, the marquee itself, as well as the front. So let's go ahead and get that one again. I'm not sure if I got it all in the picture. Alright, that one looked like that's turned out well. The next piece, of course, is the plexiglass. The measurements for the plexiglass, as well as the top. Alright, I think we got that one in. Then the speaker shelf, the monitor mount, and the bottom. Now the bottom is comprised into 3 different diagrams, which I will show you here shortly. And the measurements of the width of the all these pieces should be around should be 23.5 inches. So if you can't read that at the bottom too well on some of these diagrams, it's 23.5 inches. Now, if you notice by the vent measurement there, I have a little scribble out. That's because I had the measurement wrong there. It should actually only be 3 1/4 opposed to 53 1/4, which is what I had. That was actually to the floor. So, also on the back piece here, you notice the red dotted lines there? Those are door stops. So I had to put those in place to keep the door from swinging inside the cabinet. So once you hinge it, of course, there is no support, and you have to do something to stop the door, and that's all that is. And it can be scrap pieces of wood. And here's the floor, and this is what I was talking about, the floor. The floor itself has a couple of different measurements, but diagrams. And if you notice let me see if I can get my hand still here. The black and white stripe lines there, that is actually a 2x4. And that 2x4 is cut in half. Because the caster wheel 2x4, I had to cut to adjust the height of the cabinet and how far I wanted it off the floor. The centers, or the black and white stripe 2x4 protruded out. So I cut that in half because my caster wheels do go a full 360 degrees. And of course, if it's a full 2x4, when the caster wheel 2x4 is cut, then those 360 degree wheels will not spin all the way around. All right, and the last drawing I have here is the left and right sides, as well as the internal view. Let's see if we can get all that in here. Let's see. And I'm slowly moving it closer just so you can see those bottom numbers. Of course, on the monitor, it'll be blown up, slightly larger, so hopefully you'll be able to see it well. But what I am going to do is, when I post this to YouTube, I'm going to see if there's a place on YouTube where I can actually attach a file. And if I can, then I'll attach this document, as I do have the hard copy. All right, the internal view. The internal view, if you notice, it says at the top, 1/2 inch lip / overhang. And what that is, let me show you that right quick. That 1/2 inch lip / overhang is actually this here. All right, and it goes all the way around on the top side, as you can see there. And there's also another reading on the diagram which says back flush. And what I mean by that is that the back piece is actually flush with the left and right sides. So you don't inset that as you did the top. All right. The 1/2 inch inset goes here at the top, and then it begins again at the control panel. So at the control panel, I left another 1/2 inch, around the edge of that, all the way to the front piece of the arcade machine. So I know it's a black setting, so you can't really see that, but there is a 1/2 inch gap there. All right. And then just for that antique look, I left my screws and everything a gold color, as well as the ones in my plexiglass. I don't know how well you can see that, but. And then my speaker, I don't know if I pointed this out earlier. I put in the type of speakers where I can adjust the volume, which is another cool feature. All right. All right, so far we covered the 1/2 inch lip at the top, as well as the back flushing. The rest of the items here, if you can see, those that are colored in the brown is the actual MDF itself, or the wood itself. All right, so that's the actual placement of those pieces. The yellow pieces are the brace or the brackets, and that's what's going to give your cabinet that support it needs when you're putting it together. All right, and then of course I have the monitor, and then the plexiglass support. I did not use support beams for that. I used the actual MDF itself. It was a thinner profile, easier to hang within the cabinet, and then it still gave the nice support that the plexiglass needed. Alright, so that's all the pieces. Let's just go over these one more time just to make sure that I got everything in here. By all means, feel free to leave me a comment. I am a grown man, so any negative comments that you leave, of course won't hurt my feelings, but, this is something to help you, so why go negative, right? So, I'm just trying to share, the work that I did with people who may want to do the same thing. So if that's you, then by all means, let's just keep a positive attitude, and if you again, if you need these documents or anything, I will post them out on YouTube if possible. If not, then leave me a comment, and if you'd like to leave your email address out there as well, then I'll just go ahead and email you the documents. All right, well, again, that's it. And as I said, the arcade machine turned out well, and I'm really pleased on how it came out. Now I can get started on my 2101. So, and that's going to have, of course, dual joysticks. I'll probably end up putting quads in there. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Well, that's it. Everyone have a great day, and let me get back to gaming.